I think usually people cut that part out when they do like the 3, but we left it in. So this is Daniel Kaelin. We're doing another Ordinary Holiness interview. And Daniel and I usually talk in my office where I got the statues, but it's getting new carpet and new paint because St. Patrick's loves its employees so much. So we're helping to spruce up our offices a little bit. So I got these books so now everybody can see how smart I am. I've read all of these books, but it's given Daniel a little bit different scenario. Usually we talk in my office. So he's super comfortable in there. We have lots of conversations. So we've known each other for a little bit. I was trying to think of when we really probably had our very first serious interaction, and I know exactly when it was. It was in the activity center when you challenged me to a one-on-one basketball game, and I was amazed by your dribbling skills, but you realized quickly that you were going up against a grown man who, although he wasn't good at basketball, he put it to you on the defensive end. So for those of you guys that don't know who Daniel is, maybe Daniel can introduce himself to you so we can find out about him.
Yeah, I'm Daniel Kaelin. I'm 14 years old. I'm going to be a 9th grader next year at Bellevue West. As you mentioned, I love throwing footballs. I play football. I play basketball. I have a big family. I have a total of, 9 siblings, blended family. Yeah, I got a lot of siblings. I attended St. Pat's 2nd grade through 7th grade, and then I was homeschooled last year, and yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I knew, I think I met you and I knew about Drew and Dono, and then I found out you had all these other siblings too. I'm like, oh, dang. But then again, I forgot about the siblings that live in Missouri, right? That's where your other ones live.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, crap. I didn't even know you had 9. Like, that's a big family. So is it 9, not including you? Are you 10 or are you 9?
Oh. So there's 3 and 7. So yeah, 10 including me, yeah.
Dang, that's a handful. That's 2 handfuls, actually. So that's a big deal, man. That's a big family. That's awesome, though. I think that big families are the best, man, because you have a lot of time to hang out with each other, and they can be annoying, I'm sure, but you never get bored.
Lonely, right? That's for sure. Yeah, never bored.
Never bored. Well, how about this? Here's the first question for you. Well, I guess that was the first question. Here's the second question. I think, actually, I started calling you when you were like maybe in 6th or 7th grade. I don't know why I started doing it, but I started calling you Holy Dan. I don't know why I did that. Maybe I just noticed that you
religion class.
Did you have like a lot of good questions, or what was it? Why did I start calling you that?
No, I just knew like a lot about the Bible, so I would always kind of know a lot of the stories, and everyone kind of just started calling me Holy Dan, and then you must tag along.
They didn't really know, huh? I bet your brothers and sisters were like, "This guy, like, come on, man." So, anyways, you obviously take your faith decently seriously. You know some Bible stories and stuff like that. What kind of things in your history, like whether you were a little kid or a middle school, like what kind of got you interested in the faith?
Definitely one of the biggest things was kind of how I was raised, especially my mom. When we were younger, we were very, very involved in church. I was altar serving as a 1st grader, so I was really young. Yeah.
Dang, playing up a little bit, huh?
Yeah, we did a lot of service at our church when I was just growing up. We would have we would say daily rosaries as a family. Just really, I was raised well in the faith.
Yeah.
My priest at the church that I lived in Springfield, he was very, on fire in his faith. And I just remember his homilies. He'd have everyone involved, asking questions. I just remember growing up in that. It really kind of just set the tone for my faith into my life.
That's awesome. I don't know if you've ever told me about this priest, but so you had this priest that was just was he like a flamethrower from the pulpit, or was he just like a holy dude, or what was he like?
Awesome. Yeah. I think he's in Africa a lot, that he does. So we haven't seen him in a long time, but he does a lot of service down there and stuff.
Like missionary work or what?
I can't tell you. I just know that he's down there doing a lot of stuff.
Hey man, I don't know what he does, but he's over there a lot. But you saw him, and he was just like you had your family that was a good influence on you. Always going to church. Not only just going to church, but an altar server. You were going around and doing all these things, praying the rosary. But you also have people outside, like this priest, huh? Who you saw him, you're like, that guy's cool. Like, he's a religious guy, but not like a dumb religious guy. Like he's a cool religious guy. And it was appealing to you, huh?
Yeah. Definitely.
Awesome. How about middle school wise? Was there anything like when you're going through school, anything in middle school that you were that kind of stirred you up at all? Any retreats that you've been on, anything like that?
I do remember at school, what was it, 6th or 7th grade, we did the kindness retreat, I think it was called.
Okay. Courage?
Courage retreat,
Courage retreat, yeah.
And definitely a big part, I remember in 6th grade, Mrs. Plank, I loved her religion classes. That was a big part of, because that's where Holy Dan started, and that was part of me growing in my faith. And I mean, yeah, just staying in, I mean, religion classes obviously at school, but nothing too special, I guess, in middle school.
Yeah,
Too much.
but you enjoyed religion class, though. You weren't one of those kids. I mean, believe it or not, there are kids out there that don't like religion class. I don't understand. Best class of the day, but you really enjoyed it. You loved Mrs. Plank's religion class.
Yes, definitely.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, talking about religion class, there are things that we talk about when we talk in my office, and I talk about them all the time on here. I talk about these 5 ordinary means of holiness. We have extraordinary things like that cool priest, or getting blessed with a great family. But there are things that we can do every day to grow in holiness. And we're going to run down those things. It's prayer, sacraments, it's charity, it's penance, and it's study. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you like how those things look in your life. You can talk about them like maybe like when you were a little kid and how they've grown until now. Or maybe some of the things you used to do and maybe they've fallen off a little bit. Just kind of tell us about how you've grown in these things. And the first one is obviously something that's very crucial to us being Christians, and that's prayer. What does that look like in your life? How have you experienced it throughout your many 14 years?
So, I mean, I'll start, when I was younger, definitely, just going to mass, saying prayers there. And then the biggest part of my prayer life when I was younger was just, saying nightly prayers with my family, saying what you're thankful for, kind of just the more general, like Our Fathers and just memorize prayers. And then, as I've grown, the biggest thing is just when I pray, just growing in my relationship with God. It doesn't have to always be just in Our Father, Hail Mary. You can just talk to him and just grow in your relationship with him, which I think just really helps guide me in my faith and just in my everyday life, just to know that trust in him. And the more I grow closer to him is just the better.
Yeah. It's interesting when, like, if you talk about, like, you're a sports guy, so at the beginning when you're, like, a new person in sports, you're really working on the fundamentals, like let's get the basics down first. And that really seems to be kind of how it is with prayer, with these rote prayers. Like, they're not bad. Like, they're the fundamentals of prayer. They're, like, some of the best things. But then as you get older, as you start flexing a little bit, your rating starts to go up a little bit. Now you're in the 80s, probably in the 90s, maybe a 92 rating on Madden right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
But as you start to go up a little bit, you can start doing some of these different things and your prayer life kind of grows a little bit. And that's kind of how you've seen it, huh?
Yeah.
Do you like, there's big decisions in a guy's life, when it comes to all the crazy stuff that goes into middle school, or like what somebody's going to do for I know going into high school is a big stress for kids. Like, do you find that prayer to be an opportunity where you can visit some of these big decisions in your life and talk these things over with God? Does that happen in your life?
Most definitely, especially like the closer, in my opinion, you are to God, the more he can kind of like put you on your path and help you make big decisions, like, and just keep you relaxed about things and just making the right decisions in your everyday life.
Yeah. Like finding that peace, right? Like, I think that's got to be true, right? When you got these guys, I mean, it's been a part of my life for a long time, just being stressed out about stuff a lot, just getting really worked up about stuff. And then, like, all of a sudden, like, God will provide this grace or this peace, where you're like, you know what, I just feel really good about this decision. Maybe it came to me in a revelation in prayer, maybe not, but God can provide a little bit of that peace, through prayer and through all these other means that we're talking about too, and kind of lessen some of that anxiety.
Yeah. And God will definitely put you in situations that, obviously, you won't always be comfortable in the situations he puts you in, but I think just the biggest thing is just trusting him, and the better relationship you have with him, I think, will just get you through anything, really.
Yeah, that's a great point. You just being in the spots that might be difficult, but it really goes towards, you really growing. And I know that you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking about right now. The same example, it's obviously going to be when LeBron was down 3-1 against the Warriors. I think that was back in 2016. It's a terrible spot to be in, but then having him get that chase down block on Andre Iguodala, and then coming back through ready to go down for the dunk. Gazelle just left. Coming down for the dunk, but then getting fouled. But obviously being in these tough spots, but you look at it like, dude, LeBron's the ultimate warrior. He took down the Warriors 3-1. He's in a tough spot, but he was able to stay composed and come back and win 4-3. That's what you're thinking, right? Sure. I knew it. I know you got some Warriors fans in that house. So how about the sacraments? You mentioned Mass a little bit. You mentioned this priest. There's you've obviously been baptized, you've been confirmed now, but and you haven't been confirmed yet?
Yeah, COVID's still been backing it up. So.
Oh, it has stopped it, huh?
Yeah, we still haven't been able to do that.
Oh, well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the Eucharist, and let's talk about confession, because those are two that you've definitely done. Let's talk about
Yeah.
how those play out in your life. How they look like on a daily basis or a weekly basis or monthly basis or whatever.
Well, yeah. Well, Eucharist, just take it at Sunday Mass. And Eucharist is something that I definitely take seriously. Like every time I take the Eucharist, I have a prayer that I say to myself, and like I definitely don't take that lightly because you're receiving the body of Christ. Like that's something big, and He's inside of you, and I just think that's really important to be receiving Eucharist on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Especially when, sorry.
Have you always thought that? Like even when you were like a second grader? I don't know when you received First Communion, but has that always been a part of your life?
Definitely not. I mean, because when you're younger, you kind of just think like, oh yeah, we just got the body of Christ. I just taste some bread. Yeah, it's cool. Whatever.
like bread? You mean like cardboard or what? That's what I thought it tasted like.
Yeah, it starts definitely as you grow. It starts to mean a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've kind of grown in that. Like you didn't necessarily quite conceptualize what this body of Christ thing was. Yeah. But now you're seeing it more in this idea of like how you're receiving the body of Christ into your body, like it's infusing you with this reality, huh? And it's something more serious, huh? How long have you been, and you don't have to say what it is, but how long have you been praying that special prayer that you pray after receiving the Eucharist?
Probably like, I would probably say a year or two. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
What kind of prompted you to do that, if you don't mind?
I think I can't remember. I think maybe someone was like bothering at the time. I can't honestly remember. I think I just received it and I just said a prayer. I was like, that's something I should do more often.
You're like, I like that. Maybe it's a special grace from God, right?
Yeah, it just makes you feel better after. It gives you like a better feeling inside, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's like, and I think sometimes these rituals, people kind of want to talk bad about religious rituals sometimes, like just going through the motions. However, there is something to that, like when you have that thing that you do every time, and yours happens to be a prayer after you receive the Eucharist, it kind of puts you in that spot again. Even like some of the rituals that we do, like brushing our teeth at night, or like saying I love you to your mom, or the prayers that you mentioned that you pray, like you prayed at night as a family. Those are just things that we do that can kind of get us in a good routine, which obviously with sports is crucial. Like people want to talk about repetition and ritual in a negative light in church sometimes, but obviously if it wasn't for ritual and repetition, like dude, don't guys do certain things when they tie their cleats up or like put their helmet on, like do them certain ways, it just kind of gets them into that mode, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. Yeah. So you actually got one for the Eucharist too. Awesome. Well, how about the other one, reconciliation? How do you feel about that one?
That's definitely something that I probably not necessarily like struggle with, like probably more struggle with as like not doing it enough. Like that's probably something that I definitely would like to do more. And I think I've talked to you about that. Because I was in your office one day and we just stopped right there and Father was in there. I just hit really quick.
Dude. Yeah, I think that's all too common, right? When you got people, I mean, like I'm pretty sure the Pope doesn't like to confess his sins. Like nobody likes to do it. Like just like nobody likes to say they're sorry. I never like to say I'm sorry. I want to be right all the time. I don't like to admit that I did something wrong. But there's that reality of just it being difficult and kind of hard to get to sometimes, especially as a young kid too. You're only 14, not able to like necessarily take yourself on the town all the time and just go where you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I was really actually I was really proud of you for that. I think that it's difficult even too. I put you on the spot that one day, didn't I? Like Father Moser is right there. I was like, hey bro, if you want to knock this out right now, I mean, praise God, I work next to a priest, so I'm sure he'll hear your confession. And I mean, Father Moser is a great priest and always willing to hear a confession at the drop of a hat. And you had the guts to just go over there and say, yeah, I'll knock it out right now.
Yeah. You definitely feel way better after. I mean, just being cleansed of your sins, knowing that you're definitely on a better path to being in heaven. But yeah.
And isn't that kind of like a workout too? Like nobody wants to go do that tough workout. Who wants to go do like heavy squat day? I mean, I'm sure there are weirdos out there that like that stuff. They like to feel the burn and feel like about to die and puke and stuff like that. But like nobody likes to go work out. But when you get done with that workout, you're like, dang, I feel good right now. Like I got better today. And I think it's such a similar way. And I don't know why we don't make that connection between like church things and everything else in life. Everything else in life, if you want to get better, like you got to struggle.
And it motivates you to do better after as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It continues to, when you do these things, like these ordinary things, like these everyday rituals and habits and disciplines, like it keeps you on that path and motivates you to continue to grow. Just like, I was so amazed with you going out to prep all the time last year, even though you were homeschooled, you'd be doing these things, people would see you out there just working hard, throwing the ball, like just so disciplined. And I think the faith is the exact same way.
Yeah, most definitely.
How about this next one? And I like to bring it up. This one's called charity. I like to bring it up, especially when it comes to siblings, because you mentioned that you were one of 10. That's a lot. And I'm sure that not all of them are saints. I mean, they're striving to be saints. I know a couple of them, and I know they're striving to be saints.
Yeah.
It's harder for others. It's not everybody is as easy as it is for you, Dan. Some people got to try a little harder to be a saint, and they need a little bit more grace. So, I like to talk about charity in two ways. You can be talking about going out and doing amazing things in the community, going to Open Door Mission, going to the Stevens Center, going to wherever, just even going out and just picking up trash around the neighborhood. Acts of charity, absolutely. But then there's also ones that are inside your house too, just loving those people in your life that don't seem so lovable. So how does charity look in your life? Which one of those aspects do you want to take it with?
I mean, I guess I could do both. I'll start with more like in the house. But I think one of the biggest things is kind of just recognizing like when people, like you said, it's kind of hard to sometimes like get along with everyone. But I think it's good to recognize when someone needs a helping hand or when someone's kind of like stressed out about something, wherever you can help, just go clean their room or help them with something like just small. I can just kind of make their day or just put them in a better mood just the day, and it can kind of roll over into something better.
Now, I mean, we talked about this before we went in here. Like, if you're going to put something out there, like you're going to go clean somebody's room, like number one, you better be doing it so that they're like, hey, he never cleaned my room. What's this guy? He's lying on here. But on the flip side, they could be like, wait a second, I'm having a bad day. Maybe Holy Dan's going to clean my room. This could work out well for me. But I think that's great. I loved you and Dono. Dono had that early out from Concordia, your brother Donovan, and you guys were able to hang out together. And I think I really enjoyed that. Not that I don't like hanging out, with just you and talking about that stuff too, but I loved you bringing Dono along too. Just like, hey, we're both here. We can come as brothers, and talk about some of this stuff. And
we can hold each other accountable to get better each other.
Hey, you're right too. And what? I think that's an aspect of charity too, just helping out someone to stay on the right path, because you're really taking their soul into account. How many times was it, whether Donovan is telling the truth or not, you know what I'm talking about. But when you'd be like, oh man, I've been praying that rosary, and Donald's like, he hasn't been praying the rosary, man. He hasn't prayed in the whole week, because he really knows who you are, and he's ready to hold you accountable. Yeah.
Or like last summer when we were coming to daily mass in the mornings and we have those meetings. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's good too, like where you could encourage that guy to come along with you, where you're like, hey, I'm going to mass. Why don't you come along with me? Awesome. Did you want to talk about the other aspect of charity or no? With helping out in the community and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, just like, especially last year, or not last year, in 7th grade and 6th grade, leadership at St. Pat's, we would do a lot of things, going to the nursing home and helping out there and going to just helping out with different things wherever we could. And then also in confirmation, obviously we had to get our service hours in.
Yeah.
So there were just a lot of different things that you could help out with. Like we went to church, we were helping load up food into cars and doing different things like that, just to help the community.
Yeah. With those corporal works of mercy, right? Feed the hungry. There's not one that's called Visit the Lonely, but I mean, there is one called Visiting the Imprisoned, but I mean, and in some ways, some of those people in the nursing home, I always think about this, like that could be one of those aspects, where some of these people, they don't have the freedom they used to have, I mean, we've all kind of tasted that with COVID, where we can't just go everywhere we want to anymore, especially in those nursing homes, man, where they in some ways, I mean, it's for good, but they are kind of imprisoned in there, just they can't get out because they're in a literal quarantine.
Being able to said, like, sorry.
There you go.
How you said about like there isn't one for visiting lonely, but like just little things, like especially as an athlete, like I have a platform where I can help others in ways that some people maybe can't. I mean, even just little things like sitting with someone at lunch that doesn't get talked to. I mean, that just little things like that can just help people's day so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we're called to that too. And I would almost say that they're in this, I actually would say they're a necessity for our salvation, because Jesus is going to say when we get judged, like, what did you do for the least of my brethren? And the least of our brethren, it's somebody, it's the person at Marquee Place, it's the person at the Open Door Mission, but it's Donovan Kaelin. And, sometimes he needs your help. Sometimes it's that person at the lunch table that doesn't have anybody sitting with them. And we kind of like overlook that because we're so concerned about ourselves, but it's an opportunity for us to see that. And people know this. People know that this is true. Everybody knows that's true. Be nice to the kid at lunch. Everybody knows that. But I don't think we always think about it like, no. Jesus is going to call us to this when we die. Like, what did you do for the least of your brethren? I put that kid right in front of you. I put him right there. You saw him. We both saw you see him. And you just cruise right past him. So that's a good one. That's a good example right there.
Yeah.
And this one kind of goes hand in hand with charity, but it's penance. You know, every time you're looking out for somebody else and trying to do something for somebody else, you have to deny yourself too. So in what ways do you find yourself either like putting disciplines in your life where you're like fasting or you're abstaining from certain foods, or maybe some kids talk about taking cold showers, or do you just in general put yourself second when it comes to people in your life? How do you look at that?
I mean, just the first example you gave, like I remember on Fridays when we come in, you'd always talk to me about, you know, either giving up meat or candy or just something, just because Friday was the day that Jesus died. So that's just a basic way to do something like that. But I mean, just little things like that, just giving up like cold showers or something like that. Just little,
giving up those pleasures of the world, right? Like when we go into my house and I see you trying to sneak back behind that chair, rummaging through that candy. I'm like, come on, bro, it's a Friday, man. We should be giving something up today. I know, but I'm not going to give up candy. I'm going to give up pop. Or I'm going to give up something else, but not candy.
Yeah. Or the second way you said, like denying yourself, like you could go sit on the couch and just do nothing. Or you can deny yourself of just relaxing. You can go play with your brother or like help him out, and just deny yourself of like little pleasures just to help someone else out as well.
Yeah. Like the younger siblings too in your family, right? You know, like they might want to go play and you're like, come on, dude, I don't think you know how famous I am on Instagram, man. I got a profile to uphold. I got some likes to get, you know, as opposed to doing what really matters. And that's being present for the people in your life, you know, putting yourself in your own selfish, lazy desires, which I'm sure that you never fall into. You never find yourself just bumming around the couch, but just going out and just making that effort to get your butt up off the couch and do something with your siblings or your parents, you know.
Just
maybe your parents, maybe not your parents, but maybe. Here's the last one of these, and then we'll get to our final question. How about study? You know, when we talk about like studying your faith, growing in faith, maybe even talking about maybe your unusual experience in homeschool. You know, not everybody out there has been homeschooled, but how do you find yourself studying your faith?
Definitely like reading the Bible. I mean, so homeschooling kind of came upon us, like it was something that was kind of on our minds, and it kind of just happened, and it ended up being a blessing because of coronavirus. So nothing really changed for me when that happened, and it also helped me with a lot of opportunities, like going to some football camps that I probably wouldn't have been able to go to if the school year was going on. But a good routine that I got into with study was, and it kind of goes with prayer as well, because I think it helps me with my prayer life, was definitely reading the Bible. I got into a really good habit of reading the Bible, just not even necessarily like seeing exact places, but just opening up and just reading. I think it really I think when I got into a really good habit of it, you just feel so much better. I feel like I would literally just wake up and want to read the Bible, because it was just something that I just loved doing when I got into a really good habit of it. Yeah. And I'm definitely not as consistent as I was, but that's just something I love doing. Yeah. And obviously it's a great way to study your faith. So.
Man, when you said it, waking up, go ahead.
Oh, okay. And another big thing that I do is, I've told you about this guy, T.D. Jakes. You watch a lot of his videos and stuff. He explains the Bible and the stories of the Bible in crazy ways. I love listening to him. He's awesome. Yeah. Just great, like really motivates you, and kind of like maybe even feeds into that love that you already have, which I gave you this look earlier, like this little 14-year-old kid says, I just wake up and I just want to read the Bible, miss. Like, it's going to be so great. I'm just like, oh yeah. I want to give that emoji with the big eyes. Like, really? Who says that? You know, but this guy helps you. Yeah. He applies the Bible into just everyday life things and teaches really good life lessons. And I think it just really helps to listen to him. Yeah. Awesome. Well, and you've talked about some of these things already, but the final question is kind of a challenging one. I'm looking for one negative thing and one positive thing. So like when you've seen your friends, I would imagine that maybe not all of your friends are going to church every week. Not all of your friends, but maybe some of your friends do like going to church. Some of your friends do have a big, a robust prayer life, a robust faith life. But what are some things that you've seen work negatively? And what are some things that you've seen work positively to encourage your friends? Maybe it can be from you, it can be from their parents, from your peers, but when it comes to encouraging these kids in their faith? Definitely something that's positive would be like, I think when parents get like other parents on board to go to like a retreat or something, so that the whole like friend group can like go to something, I think that motivates them a lot more than like doing something alone. So I think going to something like a retreat or like a Steubenville together, like they'll want to do it if they have friends going to it. But I think when they get there, it's just something that's like, I mean, Steubenville is an amazing thing. It can really ignite their faith. and I can really help like launch them into their faith. I think that's something that would really work well.
That's a good point, because nobody wants to be that one kid that's like, hey, why are you here? My mom made me. But if you and your 5 buddies all made them go, I mean, that's to make it a little bit easier.
Yeah. And then negative, I mean, there's a lot. I just can't think of some.
I mean, negative, there's a lot of ways you can mess up.
I mean, just ways to like, what's the question again? It's like how to.
Yeah, what are some things, like, what do you mean? Like, I'm going to say, probably not all of your friends are devout angels. I'm sure you hang out with, I'm sure you got some friends in your life that you're looking to be a good influence on, kind of bring them up a little bit in the holiness game. So what kind of things have you seen in their lives where it's like, oh man, that really worked negatively for them?
I mean, a big thing is like kids, I don't know. Honestly, can't really think of anything.
And that's such a fun one too. I actually wanted to switch them on you. I wanted to go, oh, no. Don't say the positive first. Say the negative so we can end on a positive note. But you're just like, hey, Adam, we're going to end on a positive note, man. I don't want to talk about that negative. Anybody got time for that? All I'm doing is I'm looking forward to progress. I'm not looking forward to any of that negative stuff. But I like that example of the positive too. I think that's really good. That is so helpful when you can just get people's friends around them too.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's probably the biggest help for me, getting kids to go to Steubenville. I was so sad that a lot of you 8th graders couldn't make it. Like that's probably one of the saddest things of the summer, not only with all the other things that got canceled this summer, but just not being able to go to Steubenville and have that experience, because it can be so good for kids, especially for 8th graders with that first exposure. And that's one of the greatest things that I find as a youth minister is if you can find a couple of parents who kind of like make their kids go.
Yeah.
When you make your kids go, it makes your kids not feel so bad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. I appreciate it, dude. I'm glad you were able to spend some time with us and talk about that. And hopefully, I mean, I'm sure when we put this on Instagram, we put the link in the bio, people are going to be clicking on it like crazy. And I mean, I'm sure you're going to get lots of friends and followers, and you're probably going to be famous. So you're welcome. But we appreciate you spending some time, and hopefully people can glean some good nuggets out of this.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, brother. You're welcome. We'll see you soon.
Yeah. See you too. Bye.
Bye.